We're about 2 hours drive north of Brisbane, inland from the idyllic Sunshine Coast and all of its great reasons to visit. Some of the rally fraternity even stayed in Noosa in the lead up to this event. Didn't take much arm twisting. And from there, it's only 60 Ks to this heartland for rallying in the Sunshine State. Our first stage for Heat 2 Brouillard, the 9th of this event. This is the first one basically to kickstart the final day of Accent Benchtops Rally Queensland. And it has a nice mix too, a challenging mix for competitors. Good morning, everybody. Greg Rust and Dean Herridge with you live for our coverage of round 3 of the E-Road Australian Rally Championship. We're going to be getting some updates as well from Jackie Shivey, who is with us on the stage times as they come through. Probably the overnight story for you, though, Dean, is the way this game has shifted. You have crunched some numbers. Hayden Paddon is maybe going to face a bit of a challenge here from Harry Bates points-wise.
Well, that close result yesterday really makes a difference in the points table. You know, a great win by Harry. He'll be really confident off the back of that. It puts him within 8 points of Hayden. So really today's results can dictate our halfway marker and where the championship all decides itself.
And of course there was overnight yet another Bosch Motorsport ballot. So that changes the running order. We'll come to that in a moment. Here's the event schedule for you. We are 8 stages down, 6 to come today. In all, Sunday has just over 87 Ks of competitive, centred to kind of the northwest of where the action on Saturday took place. We've had a little light shower this morning, bit of cloud cover about, but the feel of the road surface underneath it doesn't feel like it'll affect the road condition at all. Let's take a look at some of the results from yesterday now, from Heat 1. And as Dean alluded to there a moment ago, fantastic job, Harry Bates and Coral Taylor. But in some ways, as you look at this, it is about those who are missing from the list. Saturday really took its toll. Big names, Peter Rouleau, Troy Dowell, Scott Petter, all missing from today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, their accidents or damage that's been done to the cars doesn't see them come back. Even in this heat format, doesn't actually lend themselves to that. But we saw some great results, particularly in the mid-pack, some juniors in there, some category cars that have made their way through. And a bit of a standout also for the Production Cup in Clayton Hoy doing a fabulous job in 4th outright.
So Dean's dropped the pin, as you can see there. That is where we are broadcasting from on this stage. So the action fundamentally is taking place more to the north of where we were centred yesterday. If you drew a line to the west of Gympie almost, you'd find us. This first one of the day, it has a nice challenging mix of things, a little bit technical to begin with, and then it opens up, as you can see behind us here, to some fast Shire roads, and we have got the fans here out in force as well. Some grandstands have been erected. Great vibe here this morning.
This is fantastic. I mean, what a great effort by the whole organising team to have a setup like this out in the middle of the forest, to see the cars where they really shone. You know, we love to bring the cars to the people a lot of the time with super stages, but to have access to some roads and some stages like this for the fans and also for us here is fantastic.
First car is inbound. Harry Bates, Coral Taylor, winners in Heat 1 yesterday. Toyota Gazoo Racing. He is kind of energised. He's had 2 podiums so far coming into this round of the championship, but a round win is what he's got in his sights today.
He sure does, and after a great job, he'll be confident to be sky high. 4 stage wins apiece each for him and Hayden Paddon. This opening stage will set the tone.
That's nice.
Yeah, downhill is a slight kick. You've got to brake early, run through the grid. Absolutely not lifting through there. Very tidy run on the opening stage.
Beautiful line across the grid, and to your point, did not lift.
Yeah, and the thing here, the cameras will show this is a steep downhill. Where's your braking marker? Get it turned in. Apex look good. Pretty typical now, almost the copyright version of what we expect from a Bates around some rally roads in Queensland.
And then you get to see that Yaris in full flight there along the straight at the end of things. Now, yesterday we had a Bosch Motorsport ballot. And it means that the running order for today is yesterday's Heat 1 winner in Harry Bates and Coral Taylor. The next one, in theory, we should see Lewis Bates and Anthony McLaughlin. Tough day for them yesterday. Yeah,
difficult, but bouncing back, to get into the 10, it's all about salvaging some points and getting on top of that sort of thing. So, the fact they consolidate, now we'll see what their true pace is today.
Let's have a little listen and hear from him now.
It's pretty wet out there. How are you feeling heading into the second day?
Yeah, looking forward to day 2. I enjoy those stages. We've had a little bit of rain early this morning. I don't think it'll be enough to make it too slippery, but we won't really know until we get out there. There might be a few little surprises, but really looking forward to today. We're car 2 on the road behind our teammates, so I'm really hoping we can be in that battle with Harry and Hayden today.
Perfect, thank you so much.
With Jackie Shivey there in Galvanise Insurance Rally Central just a short time ago before they transported out to the first stage of the day. So waiting for this combo. Of course, yesterday a soft roll, great repair job by Toyota Gazoo Racing to get him back in action in the afternoon. He'll be keen to erase the memory of that, put it behind him.
Yeah, and so far it seems like consistency is his friend at the moment. You know, he's the most probably consistent runner. That mistake, he'll be really rue that to sort of drop the points. There was some points on the table yesterday, but this is his chance to bounce back. Let's see what he's done. Camry was confident, had speed. Hurst struggled a bit this stage this morning. The next couple really dictate his day. Let's see him down the hill.
Into the spectator point beside us. They flank either side of the road.
Got the line right, was much more tentative under brakes. Pins it through the grid as well, but you can just sort of see it's a sort of a hallmark a little bit now that's coming through with Lewis. He's just a little bit more tentative under brakes, probably not as flamboyant as Harry. Let's see if it costs him some time.
We'll watch him at full flight here. Nice shot from the drone. The next car should be the Kiwi star who has been on the road the entire time. Hayden Paddon and John Kennard since the WA round. Let's check in with him now. Okay, we'll come back to that there.
Looking at that, mate, just a quick one on a split already. So Lewis Bates, 1.3 down on the split, only 2.5 Ks in. So that sort of shows me that tentative sort of approach that he's got there. So he's probably dropping half a second a K to Harry so far, even early in the stage.
Third position on the road today should help Hayden. I know he's been kind of gutted about the ballot, hasn't he?
Well, actually worked. Last night when the rain was coming, he's like, you're kidding me. Maybe being third on the road is not where you want to be. When he comes out here and sees these roads this morning in our Facebook Live from the service park, we maybe expected that the road condition would be affected a little more than it was. It actually out here underfoot wouldn't have made a difference, and particularly under the trees. So third will be actually a good spot for him to run and almost sort of reverses what he was doing yesterday.
A little bit of a brake binding issue in the morning run of stages. He charged hard in the afternoon. Great fight between the Hyundai camp and Toyota Gazoo Racing. In the end, just seconds separating them, but it went the way in Heat 1 of Harry Bates. The Hyundai i20 is inbound now. Let's see what the 7-time New Zealand champion does as he comes past the fans here. He's coming in hot too.
That was sideways for a long time. He danced it down the hill, and he actually, as it was heading to the apex, I think he had probably a millisecond when he's gone, oh, have I gone too far here? Absolutely big commitment from the Kiwi.
Love that. Big pace on the run in here. Big commitment on this Sunday morning. That's a statement, I think.
Well, yeah, that's his intent right there. There's some Kiwi fans come here, the Hayden Paddon sort of crowd who come along and follow him around the world. They're here cheering him on from this fantastic spectator point.
Alex Rouleau was in the top 3 yesterday. Let's check in with him.
Alex, there's been a little bit of rain this morning. How is that going to change things for you and your game plan?
Yeah, a little bit slippery, I think. Not too sure how bad it's going to be. So we've taken a couple of precautions. I think the plan's really the same as yesterday, Arvo. So we're still in a good spot for the weekend. So I think get through is the main thing. If the car's good and we're confident, we'll have a little push. But if not, we'll just make it through.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You there? Gathering those...
Good run by Alex
pre-game
yesterday.
Yeah.
Good run. I think the battle he'll be looking at today is how Patrick O'Brien goes, the Irishman, because Irishman had they had a 5-minute panel. It really affected, but I think that podium spot, that's what Alex will be focused for. Good solid day. It was a bit in no man's land once Lewis went out as well. So today, what can he do pace-wise, and where will he sit for an overall result? Because he had a bit of a tough run so far in the championship in the first 2 rounds, particularly his points haul is not as high as he would like.
Want to say g'day to Peter Rouleau and to Ben Searcy. Tough day, big end-for-end roll yesterday. No doubt that pair are watching, maybe feeling a little on the sore side today, but glad they're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, car not so much so, like we said, along with the likes of Scott Petter with their accident damage, too significant to come back from that, but... like we said, at least they're both okay. Cars inbound. Should be Alex coming through now, of course, in the Hyundai. Hopefully learning and getting some setup data. Whoa, did that look live from there? Our shot's pretty small.
He told us yesterday he wanted to be a little less flamboyant, but it seems as though he's starting it wide open this morning. So Rouleau is inbound now, energised after that third-place finish yesterday.
He did look like that, didn't he, from that aerial shot there? I mean, we've got a small screen we're looking at. Let's have a look down the hill. A couple of bites and it flicks it back to the left-hander and lines him up perfectly for the grid. But same thing, a little tentative on the brakes, a couple of dives at it, but he's looking like he's really flamboyant this morning.
Is that deceptive, coming down into that right-hander to us? There's a couple of sort of stabs, throttle brake, just to not overstep it on the run in, but then perhaps realising that I could have carried a bit more.
Yeah, and when you do that, you know that you haven't got it right. You want one application. You know, at the end of the day, we saw probably Harry and Hayden, who were probably the quickest through here. One, firm application, big movements and slide it through. And that's, like you said, a little bit tentative on the way down.
Great to have Patrick O'Brien with us for this round. Let's hear from him.
Haven't heard from him. Not working for there. We'll talk on his behalf, saying how different it
Patrick,
actually
this is your first rally in Australia. How did you find it yesterday, and how do you reckon you're going to go today in the wet?
Yeah, yesterday was quite good. It was a bit of an eye-opener, but yeah, really enjoyed it, and we had a lot of fun. So today is a bit like home with the rain, so yeah, hopefully I do good.
I was going to ask, how does it compare here to back home?
That's completely different. The roads are not anyway the same at all, but yeah, really enjoying it and having a ball.
Fantastic addition to the lineup here at Accent Benchtops Rally Queensland. Comes in well credentialed from things that he's achieved in the Irish Rally Championship, the Irish rallying scene, if you will. Had a penalty yesterday, a 5-minute penalty. Take that out of the equation and just look at his run beyond that. It was pretty strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, very strong. But the thing is, once you've got that, there's no point fighting over. You know, for me, these next two stages, particularly this one, will dictate what's his pace like. He's well credentialed, lots of experience, and looking pretty flamboyant this fight. I want to see him in full flight now that he starts scratched from the weekend or from the day. Let's see how he goes and matches up against Australia's best.
Shane Farrell alongside him in the co-driver's seat, forward on the approach.
Pretty fair run through there. Wasn't as balky on the breakthrough. Good lineup, pinning it through. Full commitment in the four. They all have their own little idiosyncrasies in the way you drive it, but it shows how strong and how well viewed the Australian Championship is when you've got internationals coming here like him from Ireland. Tom Christensen, of course, in Perth, a Swedish guy, showing how good our series is.
We say g'day to everyone watching internationally on the live stream too. I've had messages from Dunedin, Belgium and more. Great to have you with us for the coverage. Next of our stories now, Wolf Production Cup. And yesterday in the top 4 was Clayton Hoy. Here's his co-driver, Erin Kelly.
Now, I understand there were a few issues with the car yesterday. How are you feeling heading in today? Have you been able to fix that one up?
Yeah, the rally safe is all fixed now. That's all good. We've got a slight engine miss, but yeah, nothing to worry about. So yeah, we'll head out strong for today and hopefully, finish in a good position.
Will the wet affect anything for you guys?
Yeah, look, we'll probably take it easy on the first pass, sort of see how the grip levels are. But, once we establish what the grip's like, then we'll go for it. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Did a snapshot of the Cup results from Saturday, which you can find on our E-Road Australian Rally Championship Facebook page, incidentally. He talked, Clayton Hoy, about kind of hot wiring the system to get things through yesterday, and it worked perfectly. They did have the plugs out of this car last night. Having a little bit of a look at them, it seems to, and it happened in WA as well, it develops a little bit of a misfire, and they're not quite sure why, but they seem as though they can overcome it at the end of each day of competitions.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't affect your stage time.
Not at
that's
all.
For sure.
Not at all.
It's probably just one of those little things that gives you a little less confidence as a driver. Is this thing going to rev through? When you're committed like the way that Clayton drives, you want that car in full song, getting full revs, etc., going your way. So from that point of view, but love delivery on this car. He knows how to drive. It's a very well sorted production car, but he can steer. And we just hope that he can be in a good battle with the likes of Bodie today, etc.
Tip of the hat to the glory days, the colour scheme on this car, to the great Tommy Mackinnon. Here it comes on approach in Production Cup. Was the star yesterday and finished 4th outright.
Tight line, short shifting, trying to use the torque of the Evo out of those corners. You can sort of see less suspension movement from a production car, as you'd expect, etc. So it has to do the line slightly different, come in there, but nice commitment, and looks like he's having a good run through.
We should, in theory, it's been that way in Wolf Production Cup all season long, have a great battle on our hands today. That's the competitor to beat, but coming back into the game on Sunday is Bodie Reading after a tough Saturday, and Jackie caught up with him.
Bodie, how are you feeling after yesterday, and what are your hopes for today?
A bit sore, a bit bruised, but that's all right. We'll get a few Panadol and Nurofen into us to get us through today. But yeah, just going to try and get through today and just at least get some points after our no score yesterday. Car's all repaired, so hopefully we can make it to the end today.
Great to see him smiling. That was a wild exit stage right yesterday, and I think he felt like he might be able to grab it. At that point on the course, competitors were talking in production cars like this, you're probably aiming for about a 90k an hour speed limit. I think he was about 115, so just a fraction too far, but he was chasing hard.
He was, and the thing is, once you've done that, you're just trying to dance the way through, ease the brake, try and get it, and basically the momentum got him in the end. But the mistake was happened 80 metres beforehand. You know, it was that braking in early. I think it was a little late on the note, or didn't pick up on the fact that was coming up as quick as he thought. But to that point, even someone with Toby Price's experience, he said, I can't believe from run 1 to run 2, you feel like you're doing 3, 4, 5Ks now even through some of these dips, and it makes a massive difference the way the car approaches it, etc.
So it's his first rally of the season, Bodie Reading. He is a champion in this class, and it is a stacked field at the pointy end of Wolf Production Cup. So after the drama of yesterday, we're really expecting Bodie to make his mark on Sunday. Let's have a little look at what the run looks like in the Subaru versus the Evo, the Mitsubishi Evo that came through a short time ago for Clayton Hoy.
And perfect conditions to bring the beanie back as well. You know? Nice man.
Looks good.
Just dancing it through, you know, very mechanical car in the setup of this compared to what we expect a current model car to be. You know, that is, you know, a 30-year-old Subaru, sounds sensational, he knows how to drive it, but very mechanical in the way that works. You sort of see him drifting it down, feeling the road, trying to make I can flick it through. Doesn't have some of the diffs and the technology that we'd expect from some of the newer cars.
Older generation machine, but still love the fact that it's a part of the ARC scene, and great to have him back in the championship. Now, the next of our competitors inbound was another scratching, if you will, yesterday too. Unfortunately, we had some dramas, didn't we, for Stuart Reid and Bella Haggerty?
Yeah, and Stewie Reid, he's actually a Queensland, even though he's doing a lot of competitive Ks over in New Zealand with the Hayden Patton Group, etc. And that car, I think, had a few little dramas in testing as well. But when Stewie's on form, he's very, very quick. And, you know, today I hope he has a clean run. We can see exactly how he goes.
Great crowd is here. If you'd like to come and join us, if you're in the Gympie area on Sunday, we have lots of action to come your way to wrap up round 3 of the championship as well. Best place to go to find all the details in terms of stage locations and spectator points. Go to rally.com.au, and that is where you can follow the live stage results too. Subaru Results Hub is the place to do that.
Sure is. I'm just thinking of that. We're mid-stage again. Stewie Reid, we're a bit further away from the road this time with the bankman. He obviously had that spin, which was well documented. Did you know, he told me since, he was struggling to get reverse out of the service park. So when he spun that on the bank, he thought I was parked there forever. So, yeah, he was a bit annoyed at himself and said, Shiv, I might be here all day.
You can find that, incidentally, on our socials. We replayed that in the lead-up to Accent Benchtops Rally Queensland. It probably looks on camera a little closer, like we're commentating in the background, and he has a momentary lose, and the nose of the car sort of ends up in a ditch just behind. There's a bit of a distance, but you know, between the pair of us, but it's certainly got our attention, that's for sure.
Very similar to where we are now,
Yes.
Downhill braking into a long right-hander, etc. So from that point of view, no, exactly similar, but a bit more wider road here. You know, great competitor, and he'll be keen to make amends, particularly in front of some of the crowd here. And, you know, runs a very successful business, you know, automotive business. See some of his sign work on some of the state competitor cars in the service park, etc., from Stewie Reid Automotive. So there'll be a few little Queensland flags going for him today.
Been a stalwart of the Australian Rally Championship too, and I love the fact that he is, as you said there before, competing across the ditch. He enjoys those events over there, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think it shows a sign when Hayden came across. I assume that was part of the deal, to come across our championship's really competitive, for him to come back and want to do Australian Championship rounds with a showcase, because as a driver, you know, New Zealand has some unbelievably good driver roads, so to sort of lure him back across maybe with the competition is a great asset to the championship.
Keep in mind too, at the conclusion of today, some big miles still to come for competitors as they head back to their bases and then commence the preparation for the next round of the championship. We still have Gippsland to come, the fast, iconic roads of South Australia, and it will all wrap up in November in Tasmania. For you, for example, 4,000 Ks just to get here on the road for Maximum Motorsport.
Yeah, getting across. I mean, that is one of the things where, you know, the beauty of the championship is the diversity of our rounds, and each round is almost like a mini WRC, like I keep talking about in regards to the road and the surface and the challenge of it. But that, you know, the difficulty is how big it is and how to get across from each round.
I know Neil Bates, for example, basically spent a bit of time on the road, but went a different way to get to this event. He drives the truck, obviously. and they went up the inland road, given all the rain that they've had on the east coast there through Sydney in the week leading up to this. So nice, but different road trip to Queensland for him.
Yeah, exactly, coming from a different place. The other part to think about with Gippsland, that's the first of our rounds as an endurance point of view. So that means the total 2 days count, a bit like a WRC from an overview point of view. So that's another little variety to our championship. The first 3 rounds, sprint format, lock-away heats with points, etc. We start to go to enduro round. Plus, the organisers are adding a night element to it. A lot of our teams have not done night time apart from state-level competition. I can't remember the last time we've done a full night stage in the ARC, and that's going to be another challenge at the Gippsland event.
I know the colleagues in New Zealand who are watching trial that, of course, or the return of it at in Invercargill last year, the Southern Lights Rally, and it was warmly welcomed. We love those night stages. So here's Glenn Brinkman and Scott Beckwith. We'll get an update for you in relation to Stewie Reid. Not sure what the scenario is here. Yesterday, Glenn, proud Queenslander, really took it to Toby Price in this WRX class in the morning, didn't he?
He did, Queenslander there. I think I saw the graphic there with probably our widest runner there in the Rex. Like he's got that rear diff going on in there to save him from that. But they're getting more and more confident in these cars. They're just getting to sort it out and find the feel. Like I said, Scott Beckwith's chain's got a bit longer here. So now, right in behind now. So Stewie's had a problem potentially and he's come back on.
Front.
Whoa. That thing did not want to turn in at all either. Wide out of the banks, getting full noise now as you picked up. Left front damage, I suspect what's happened and why we had such a big gap. Stewie Reid had problems over on the side of the road. Was it a puncture? Was it an accident? And now that's why he's approximately 20 seconds of eating Brinkman's dust for the rest of the stage.
It's got the spectators up on their feet. So let's get an update on the state of play for you. We've been just keeping a little eye on things. Let's welcome in... she's been doing a super job for us, Jackie Shivey. You've been looking at some of the results. Give us an update on the state of play so far.
Yeah, well, we know yesterday ended very tight between Harry and Hayden. There was only 3.7 seconds separating them, and this morning it is just as tight. So Harry went through in 8 minutes, 12 seconds, 0.3. Hayden has gone through in 8 minutes, 10 seconds, 0.5. So Harry is only 1.8 seconds behind, so it's very tight there. Lewis is having a great morning as well. He's done it in 8 minutes, 20 seconds. He's only 10 seconds behind. And then who's popped up into fourth? It's Patrick O'Brien. So he's done that in 8 minutes, 25.6. So he's only 15 seconds off. And then Alex Rullo, has bumped down into fifth, followed by Clayton Hoy and Bodie Reading. So
well done. Advantage at the moment to Hayden, Pat and Jackie Shivey there. Next of our cars is inbound.
The Gluski's coming through, the juniors, the non-turbo Subaru.
That's tidy.
Tidy, narrow on his entry, didn't go wide at all, sort of stuck to the inside, now plucks another gear. He's reading their way through. Really great battle with Jackson Long. The juniors are doing a fabulous job, and both inside the top 10. So a real big fight today.
Spoke with the Glusky family last night. They were a little bit gutted, I think, the way that the derived time scenario worked yesterday. They thought from a junior cup perspective at the end of the day, they might have the medal over Jackson Long, but in the final sort of crunch of the numbers, it went Jackson's way. We're going to have a good fight on our hands in that class today between those two.
Yeah, and that's how you settle it. You do it out on the track at the end of out on the stages. The thing is about the derived time, in actual fact, because you repeated that stage, they looked at it. His stage 5 was probably not as strong as the rest of his days on the other longer stages, so that impacted the derived time, and unfortunately fell out the wrong way on that occasion. Like I said, let's draw the battle lines today and see how they go against each other.
Winner on day one in two-wheel drive cup, Tony Sullins with Kaylee Newell beside him. We are, based on our road order this morning, we're expecting them to be inbound very shortly. It's turned into a magic morning here, hasn't it? The sun's starting to poke through the clouds. No sign of that early
I always
rain.
said I was pretty average at spectating. I could actually get used to this.
So
actually,
could I.
So, yeah,
The grandstand behind you. Look at these good people here from
Only
Queensland.
a light amount of dust. We've done some dusty ones before, Rusty, that you and I have struggled with a little bit, but I'm coping with it okay at the moment, so not a problem at all. But no, just to talk about some of the gaps in there, the bit that sort of stands out to me is that sort of 4-second gap, that O'Brien-Rullo battle, I think one we're going to watch, and that could also dictate how we go on a podium result at the end of the rally as well as we combine the scores.
Now, Jackie has managed to catch up with Tony Sullins this morning. We'll bring you that in a moment. Let's just watch the car coming through here and its behaviour and performance. Fans eagerly waiting for it. You can see them with their cameras out. Here it comes. And in fact,
Front wheel drive, sequential gearbox, down the box, short shifting through, try and make sure he's got maximum traction. You wait till it hits on the flat, they'll peg it from here. A little pocket rocket coming through there. Of course, MRF supported team, his team doing the MRF control tyre, helping out everyone in the service park.
So as that car gets to stretch its legs and open up now the front wheel drive, why don't we hear from him about how Saturday was and leading into Sunday?
Tony, you won the two-wheel drive cup yesterday. How confident are you feeling heading in today, given that it's a little bit slipperier?
Yeah, two-wheel drive and the slipperiness I'm not really sure about, but I think the rain will hold off now and the roads will probably get better as we get in. We're a little bit down the field, so we'll see how we go.
Again, another stalwart of competition. I love the fact that they juggle the whole tyre supply, control tyre supply. That is something that we haven't spoken about for Sunday morning. Had a little bit of a chat about it yesterday and the way people might choose and use rubber today.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when the weather's changing, MRF give you two options, a soft or a medium, and depending on tyre wear and trying to maximise your tyre bank and get the most and make sure you've got a good tyre is something that all the crews have to consider. The outright cars are 16 in their total for the weekend. The cups or the production side of things are 12, for instance. So, and also, MRF have to carry on a heap of tyres because as you go down the different categories and classes, different sizes, 14-inch comes to play and all that sort of stuff. So big operation to run the control tyre series of the ARC.
Dino's got a little bit of dust on the glasses. We're right in the thick of it and loving it. And here is a tremendous story for the E-Road Australian Rally Championship. Has been off playing in Baja in recent time. I reckon I can hear a chopper overhead too. So Toby Price has taken to rallying, thoroughly enjoying it, has focused to begin with on WRX Challenge. Real story there on those fast roads in West Australia. And yesterday in the top 6 outright.
Doing a good job and great support from some local companies like the Campbells, Bobcat and Landscaping. They've helped out Telstra, even the Brisbane Sporting Car Club, who do a fabulous job running this event, supporting and making sure Toby could get here. Efficient through there, I'd say, is the word, but that's what he's good at. Anytime I see a shot of him, he's just efficient in everything that he does.
Could be wrong. I reckon the chopper underscores the star power of that bloke, keeping an eye on the multi-time Dakar winning rider who has made a switch in recent time. Has not said that he's retired, incidentally, from two-wheel racing at all or competition, but has taken like a duck to water to four-wheel competition. Successful in the Baja 500 last year with Paul Wheel. Has been in the United States in between WA and here. But I know he's pestering you about rally, isn't he? He loves it.
Well, the thing is, he's really good at trying to learn. He soaks up everything. And like I said to you this morning, I think one of the big things that I'm finding actually very interesting about the way he goes about it is that he's not trying to focus too much on just stage times or being too flamboyant. It's about learning, rallying, making sure he bides his time. Very big on, I don't want to jinx him, I'm trying to give a good straight car back. He knows how much work the team's put into that sort of stuff, and to get the result and land that and work with the team is really, really important to make sure that you can be on the trajectory that he would like to see in rallying for himself.
Can we also, a quick little shout out to Holly Kilbridge. She's a part of all of this too, and keeping all of that together basically. Hey?
And the thing, she was the first to jump in, probably through the involvement with Glenn Brinkman, and she did such a good job. They went out and did a lead-in before the ARC, and basically Toby's going, I'm confident, I've got real trust in what she's doing. Let's bring her along for the ride. She does a fantastic job piloting him, and they play a key part, as we know, the co-drivers, in lots of aspects. She has more rally experience than Toby, and I'm sure that he leans on it. He sort of does say occasionally, he goes, well, she tells me what to do and tells me off occasionally, which is exactly what you need from a good, stern and experienced co-driver.
Now, speaking of fast females and the growing number of them in all areas of ARC competition in motorsport in this country generally, we had a great turnout, 40 people for girls on track here in the lead up to this round, and your own daughter, Olivia, was involved in that too, wasn't she? So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think that's what we even saw, in this part of the world, to be able to come to a rally and be in the service park and actually showcase some things. And they were individual sign-ups, etc., to come and do girls on track and things like that and get people involved. Really excitement. And there's 14-year-olds going, have you been to a rally before? Was my general question. I said, oh, no, I drive a car. It's fantastic. And, particularly the work that they do with the co-driver, Matt, they do a lot of social media work and engagement. They're the next generation of people coming through and really talented.
That leads us. This is a nice segue, isn't it, to Molly Spalding, Matthew Dillon alongside. Now, this is, we talked about this in the coverage yesterday. It may not be the first choice of Subaru body shape to go for. It's a standout, this car, isn't it?
Maybe that's what they're going for. So she's got basically the same generation as Bodie Reading, just with a hatch first. Have a listen to her. She throws it in there, grabs the gear, and then plucks short shift through.
It's straight, maybe not super fast, but straight.
Yeah, and she's still learning this car, on a bit of a rev limiter there on the shift, etc. And going, remember, from the same style of cars that Jackson Long's running, the Gluskies are running. She was in that battle in the juniors last year. This is her foray into turbocharged cars. So she put a little bit of work into what would be the best car, what's the next step up. What I love about what Molly is doing is she's committing to the ARC. The amount that she'd be learning by going to Forest Rally and doing that will help her in wherever she wants to go. Even she sort of wants to do state more so in her future or whatever else. But, her plan is to try and be as big as she can in rallying. And to do that, you've got to step up to the main game, which is the Australian Rally Championship.
Great stuff, great stuff. Our next car that is due, based on the running order today, should be Nathan Stokes and Ian Wheeler. We've got a number of them still to come for you this morning. We're going to bring you the entire E-Road Australian Rally Championship field, and there is among them, to wrap it up, a Porsche.
Yeah, which does sound pretty good out of these stages too, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So we'll see them come into shot now. They're in the production car, of course, in what we call a GVB or a sedan version of the Subaru STI. They've had a bit of an incident early in the season. The car's been rebuilt, run by the Les Walkton group. Would have thought the Les Walkton's still floating around in the service area, etc. He likes a good livery on this car too, does Nathan? And like I said, been doing and committing to the Australian Championship, similar to what we spoke about with Molly. Let's see him as he comes down and attacks this stage here. Ooh, a little lock up. Finally gets it turned in, held off the throttle, then pins it. Little left through there over the grid, but that's what you expect. You're just finding your way back through and trying to get a solid result and keep out of the trees and the scenery. You've got to do that.
This stage has some tight, tricky stuff to begin with, Dean, doesn't it? And where we are here, it's a bit more shirey, as you rally guys and girls would call it.
The big thing that Queensland has is you go from these big shire roads, which are hard packed and quite well formed, but then they dart you off into a really small, narrow section. You can even have grass in the section of them, and I saw some onboard of Scott's car from even stage 2 flying through with trees almost flicking through the wing mirrors and things like that. So you have to really be able to transition from one to the other in regards to the speed. And actually, thinking about it, talking about Holly Kilbride doing a good job for Toby, the pace of reading the pace notes changes depending on that rhythm. It's really important to make sure you can commit to pace notes as you go into those high speed, giving the driver a little bit more information if they need it because of the high speed, but bringing it back when it gets tight and twisty is really, really important to try and sort of make sure the driver's got full confidence in what's being delivered.
Might have pronounced Holly's surname wrong there. Apologies before if I did. Here we go. Story yesterday. Jackson Long. This is a generational, as we said in the live coverage yesterday, the Long family, particularly in New South Wales and even beyond that, with Premier Pools have been a part of the ARC scene for many years. Yesterday, Jackson was able to get the upper hand in Junior Cup after a great fight with the Gluskies.
Sure did. He's pretty aggressive from what I've seen so far. I'm going to be really interested to see how he tackles this one. There's a couple of goes, pings it down, brake. He's taking more curve, as you said yesterday.
With the P-plate too. So we'll give you, as the Longs disappear in the distance, we'll bring Jackie in here too. Why don't we launch into an update on the times, the results from the first stage of the day so far. Go for it.
When I last spoke to you, we had Hayden, Harry, then Lewis, Patrick and Alex, Clayton Hoy. Then coming in 7th is Bodie Redding. Tony Sullins has popped up into 8th. Now, yesterday, Toby Price, he finished 6th outright. Today, he's sitting 9th at the moment. He's just done that in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Then in 10th, we have Jaden Glusky in 11th place, we have Glenn Brinkman. Molly Spalding's done great. She's popped in at 12th. And Stuart Reid is in 13. Yeah, a bit of a delay there. Obviously, as I'm trying to look at these times, there's more times popping in there. It keeps updating, which is great because we're having issues yesterday. So it's really nice to be getting these results coming through. But, a couple of stories unfolding there. Stewie Reid is, 3 minutes 48 off that top.
Bit of a shame because that's obviously a problem he's had now, whether it was a puncher or a little off-road excursion.
Thanks, Jackie. Thank you.
You're looking at that left-hand front damage, so he'll be disappointed with that. And it's a shame because, like we said, we wanted to have a clean and clear run through there. The other little standout there could be a good little battle between Tony Sullins and Toby Price there. That 1 second apart over that. But
that's the first thing that caught my eye.
Very different cars. Front-wheel drive, sequential, lightweight car. Little dynamite rocket, and then a production-based Challenger restricted on rules in regards to a one-make series. So that could be something to keep a bit of an eye on in a general sense for the rest of the day.
Next car that should be inbound, Shane Garner, Sylvie Garner alongside. And this car did the job in four-wheel drive cup yesterday. You can follow the different races within the overall race, if you like, the different classes within the rally by going to the Subaru Results Hub and having a look at who's the best performer in Junior Cup, in Four-Wheel Drive Cup and so on.
Yeah, and it's the beauty. It is the beauty of our sport. We have so many different categories and classes, etc., that come into play. And there's really lots of, from entry level to the older cars we're talking about here. Lots of areas to step in. You don't have to jump into a Rally 2 Toyota or Hyundai or Skoda for that matter to be involved in the Australian Rally Championship, which is very cool and great for the spectators. What a wide variety of cars we've even come through this section here today, as well as what you're watching with us live.
There are not many seats left in these grandstands that they have erected here.
You don't see too many grandstands in the middle of a forest stage, you've got to say. It's fantastic. Well done to the Brisbane Sporting Car Club again. The Garner's not too bad. He held it a gear up, but he held the slide okay, but then didn't have to do a shift. So rather than panic and go down a gear, he held the gear. It was low in the revs, but there was two less gear changes in that corner, and actually was not a bad little save.
When you look up the road on the approach to the right-hander directly over our shoulders here, you sort of emerge over a slight brow, a couple of trees and so on, and then it hits you, doesn't it? The immediacy. But that's why I think a few people haven't quite necessarily landed on the right breaking point for that. Some are a little too short, some... no one super long, which is probably the best way to be. Better to be short than long. And you'd reckon if you come back to the same spot as they repeat, people will try and get that braking marker a little better. That's where pace notes experience is so important because, the top guys, and when you're right on form, you are trying to read the notes come through. It's trying to relay that process. What's ahead of me? Get that braking marker right. But as you say, there's a crown in the road. It actually banks slightly to the left and you're going to a right-hander, so you sort of have to cross that crown of the road. So where and how and what feedback the car does for you on the brakes dictates how you will actually go on the right-hander. And like I said, I reckon the most spectacular through there was Patton. And to be honest, he would have had a millisecond. We went, it went a little bit earlier and harder than I wanted to. But, of course, good enough to save it, pinned it, and away he went. Hayden, of course, continuing just to, match fitness has been superb for him in between WA and here. Has basically not had a weekend off, competing internationally in Belgium, Donegal Rally and more, and was fast as he approaches here at the spectator point. And
there's some Kiwi flags here. I mean, have a look at the crowd here. I mean, shout out the Australian Championship. I think when you've got a class field and some sensational drivers, we just see such a turnout in the.
Look at the shot from the drone there.
We saw it from Western Australia, and people telling us, like I said to you yesterday on the live, that this is some of the best spectating they've seen for a long time. And you've got some really good class cars. Shame we've lost some of the other outright cars, but still here. What a battle, and you're going to see an absolutely go to the wire between, I think, Hayden and Harry today. So worth coming out and see those guys fighting it out on the stages.
Mid to late morning in New Zealand. Welcome to you if you're joining our live stream coverage. And for those of you who've been getting a few messages on socials that are watching internationally, probably late at night in Europe, they're great to have you with us for our coverage of round 3. We're going to be at the midpoint this afternoon of the 2025 E-Road Australian Rally Championship. A few more cars to come your way here. Tony Oates.
Front-wheel drive car coming through.
We didn't see this car yesterday.
We sort of were talking about it, then he didn't show. He actually did have a problem. A compression, I think a broken oil cooler. Would you believe we saw the front bar ripped off? It was getting towed is how the front bar got ripped off. Shout out to a lot of people on social media today about thanking them. This should be a pretty high-rev machine. Let's have a little listen for this one. Didn't quite get his line right and didn't sort of bobble on the corner, but like you said, as soon as it got a little bit straight there, it was into the revs and high up in the RPM there.
Up a gear now, and you can hear it. Still a little tentative. I thought it might be flat to the boards there by now.
Well, maybe not after yesterday. Like I said, I think it was a big effort to get him back out there for today. And like I said, he gave a shout out to all the people helping late, sometimes into the night. You can go into that galvanised, service area and go, holy smokes, there's some people doing some late shift to try and get it into Park Fair to make today.
Now, already for some crews, unfortunately, after a brutal Saturday, if you're just joining our coverage, no Scott Pettit today, no Peter Rouleau. Already the process is underway for the repair or perhaps even replacement of those cars.
Well, yeah, I mean, speaking on behalf of, I obviously know a little bit more about the Scott. The team make decisions to change. It's in the back of the truck. It'll go tomorrow. There's plans afoot. We'll have meetings, etc. So, the storyline, and if you've been on social media with Scott Petter, he's like, let's go back. It's their home round for the Petters in Victoria. The next one, so I think he wants to make that count. And, of course, I think it lines up with the 50th anniversary of the Petters group being involved in the Australian Rally Championship, as well as, Petters Suspension and Brakes turning 75 years old this year.
Milestone year for the company. Mike Bailey, Ian Whitehead now on approach. Now, this car yesterday, we did talk about it in the live stream coverage too, a ball joint issue. They had to make an early return to Galvanised Insurance Rally Central back into Service Park to repair that. We're able to rejoin in the afternoon. This is a little something different in the offering of marks in the field too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool to see that, and it forms up similar to what we see with the Subarus, which is probably more of a popular choice. But four-wheel drive classic cup, that's what he'll be focused on. Have a listen to what, like I said, a listen sounds right through here. But great to see the diversity in a range. As someone who's choosing to wouldn't be easy to maintain and run that car, so to sort of choose that and be a little bit different is fantastic for the series.
Picked up the right front too, a little bit of airtime as it turned right there. Be honest, who's been the wildest? If we were to give the most flamboyant award, was it Brinkman? Someone did go close to the grid.
Brinkman's been the widest.
Side.
And I mean, you talked about the little bit of curb that Jackson took. He popped a couple of rocks out. Now, they would be too stressful, but you can sort of start to see that different to a racetrack, etc., nothing really comes out. You can be right on the line. If the car in front's taken a bit more and rolls a rock out, you have to make a decision on the run. Like, the recce's 2 days ago, you could be clear of all that stuff. It's an evolving thing sometimes, the road surface, depending on how it breaks up, what the road conditions are like, who's been in front of you. And there are some nasty ones back in the day. I don't know, Simon Evans springs to mind, someone who might drag a rock or two out, accidentally between your runs.
Now, yesterday, Alex Rouleau made the point of wanting to be quote-unquote less flamboyant, to be perhaps a bit tidier mid-corner, and so on. Third place, bit happened in terms of competitors around him yesterday. It feels like he stepped it again today. Maybe the thought of another top 3 finish on the Sunday, maybe challenging some of those that could impact that in Heat 2. He's come out firing.
Yeah, I actually thought he was pretty flamboyant, so maybe that's his natural style. What he's probably saying, I want to take that back a little bit. I want to be a bit more efficient on it. And like I said, a 4-second gap between him and O'Brien. And that's about a second of K off the lead guys who, like we said, we're talking, when Harry and, we're talking Patton, this is world championship level stuff. You can block Hayden and, I'd expect Harry, as he got more experience, with the best drivers in the world in these cars, and they be on form. So when you're trying to compare yourself to them, it's a hard taskmaster to be sort of compared to the likes of Hayden and someone like Harry when you are Alex trying to find your way through the championship.
Final of our cars for this one today. We will be live again this afternoon too. Stay across our E-Road Australian Rally Championship socials for details around our next live stream. This is Zach Hedge, Caleb Ash. We're talking an early 70s Porsche 911, something a little bit different. Porsche are no stranger to rally competition. We tend to think of them for their circuit racing in the modern era, things like Carrera Cup, what they've done at places like Le Mans and so on. But rallying, they have got a presence there.
They sure do. Or doing not a bad job, actually. More well known for sort of converting to the tarmac, but then you see the likes of Zach who runs through, Kevin Davis, who does a lot of competition around the classic Porsches, and they can get up and boogie around on some of these gravel stages.
So as the Porsche heads off into the distance, just a reminder too, keep up to speed on everything that is happening today. The final day of Accent Benchtops Rally Queensland, round 3 of the E-Road Australian Rally Championship social channels. And you can do that just by going to either Facebook or Instagram or to rally.com.au. On behalf of Jackie and Dean, that wraps it up from stage 1 of the morning, stage 9 of the weekend. What a way to kick off Sunday. Join us this afternoon for more action live on the channels. Bye for now.